welcome to the third lecture, perhaps the third lecture on Introduction to Engineering Optimization. And in the previous lecture, we have covered graphical method for engineering optimization. Okay, so yes. So in the previous class, we took one constraint problem, one example which was based on constraint problem. This was your particular example which we took in the previous class, where the objective function was to minimize the cost, material cost and construction cost. Okay, so since I took this class in a fast forward mode, so if there is any doubt on this question, we can cover up as a revision. Otherwise, we will move forward to the next topic. Okay, so is it required that any doubt or any revision needed on this particular example? Anybody who is having any doubt? No response. Sandeep? Sandeep, Neeraj, are you able to listen my voice? Are you able to hear me?
Sir, you are audible.
Okay.
So
So,
why those people aren't responding?
yes, yes. Okay.
Yes.
So,
Sir,
yes.
sir, can you give some more questions on this topic for
Yes,
practice?
yes, yes. In fact, we will be discussing
Right.
some more examples in coming next 2-3 lecture. We will not switch to the entirely new topic. We will be taking questions which are based on the on this problem. Okay. So I just want to clarify whether this previous example is clear to each one of you. Otherwise, I can take up the doubts if you are having any doubt on that problem. Yes. Okay. So I will take revision in my own way, so that if there is any doubt in the previous example, that can be covered. Okay. So in the previous problem, uh, I will not read out the whole problem. In the previous problem, we were having objective function to minimize the material cost and construction cost. Okay, and the objective function was phi was represented by a mathematical expression which was given as 5w plus 2d. Okay, so if you remember this this discussion, that first what we did, we uh, we uh, we created the design vector using the design variables. Okay, so what were the design variables? The mean diameter and the tube thickness. These two were the design variable in the design of this your tubular column. Okay, so we represented these design variable by x1 and x2. X1 was corresponding to mean diameter and x2 was corresponding to your tube thickness. Okay, so this way we got this objective function fx equal to 5w plus 2d, which ultimately came to equal to 9.82 x1 x2 plus 2x1. Okay, so we tried to solve this problem. Okay, so under this problem, process will remain same. What you have to do, you have to create your you have to identify your objective function, then you have to identify your design variables, and then you have to identify the constraint. Okay, what are the design constraints? So accordingly, what we did in this problem, we were knowing our objective function. It is minimization of material cost and construction cost, and it was represented by 5W plus 2T. Then we were supposed to identify design vector. Okay, so what was the design vector? It was based on the design variable. Okay, so design vector was x1 x2, which was corresponding to D and T. Okay, then next step was identify to the constraint. Okay, what are the design constraint, or what are the constraint related to this optimization problem? Okay, so previously there was some typographic error here also. I missed buckling stresses. I told during the lecture. Okay, so the behavior constraint were stress induced should be less than equal to yield stress, as well as it should be less than equal to buckling stress. Okay, so using we have standard formula to calculate induced stress as well as yield stress and buckling stresses. So this way we calculated the induced stresses, buckling stresses, and yield stress. Okay, so uh, so using this these constraints, we were able to identify behavior constraint G1x and G2x. Okay, there were other constraints also, that the mean diameter should not be less than 2 and should not be greater than 14. Similarly, the tube thickness should not be less than 0.2 and 0.2 centimeter and should not be greater than 0.8 centimeter. So these were again expressed in standard form as mathematically in these four equations. Okay, so I think this process is quite clear to all of you, how we have to identify side constraint and how these constraint should be represented in the standard mathematical form. Okay, so in this particular problem we had 6 constraints: G1 x, G2 x. These were represented here: G1x, G2x. Then we have G3x, G4x, G5x, and G6, corresponding to your mean diameter and tube thickness. Okay, so after this, what we did, we tried to draw the plots corresponding to these constraints. Okay, so how we drawn the curve? Uh, we draw the hypersurface corresponding to each constraint by equating it equal to 0. Okay, so I told in the previous class that how these hypersurfaces are created. We have to equate the respective constraint to equal to 0. Okay, and using that expression we can create hyper surfaces or constraint surfaces. Okay, so for the constraint number 1, that is G1x, it came G1x when we put equal to 0. So this comes x1 x2 equal to 1.593. Okay, so there are various ways to draw these curves. You can draw it on a graph. Otherwise, you can also use your Excel, Microsoft Excel. You identify certain points, and you can plot your plots, your these plots. If you are using your computer, then you can use it using your laptop or computer. Okay, I assume that all of you are able to draw the curve or plots using Microsoft Excel. Are you all aware, or do I need to demonstrate? It will hardly take 1 minute.
So please demonstrate.
Okay. So you know, for plotting either curve on using computer on a graph paper, what you have to do, you have to find out certain points. Okay, so if you are plotting on your graph paper, then you have certain points, and you will mark these points. Suppose x1 was varying from 2 to 14. So we took 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Then we computed the corresponding value, which is x2 equal to 0.7965. These values, these are corresponding values to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14. Okay, so if we want to draw this on a graph paper, we can easily do if we are having a graph paper. Otherwise, we can use, just give me a second, let me share the another screen. Stop sharing. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so right now I have shared my entire screen. Just a minute. Okay, so here you can see your corresponding values of x1 were 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. You might be able to see these values. These are corresponding to x1. I have entered in advance so that it takes less time. And then we have just a second, it is getting maximized. We have corresponding values of x2, which are corresponding to your objective function g1x. Okay, so the corresponding values of x2 corresponding to 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. These are entered here. Here you can see corresponding to, we have 0.7965, then corresponding to 0.4. So accordingly, I have entered these values, which are corresponding to your value of x1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14. Okay, if I select these two values, if I want to draw the plot for these two set of values, what we have to do, we have to go under insert, and there is an option here. You can see there is a option to insert a plot. Okay, so here you can see there is a scatter with straight line and marker. Okay, there is an option scatter with straight line and marker. Okay, so if you click on this option, your graph for your objective function g1 x is created for corresponding values of x1. Okay, so similarly you can extend. I have similarly, for suppose for the constraint function g2, for g2x we have corresponding values x1 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 40, 10, 12, 14. So for the corresponding values for constraint 2, that is g2x, are 2.41, 0.716, 0.219. So I have again entered these values here in this next column. Okay, these values are corresponding to your constraint g2x. Okay, so if you want to extend, if you want to draw the graph corresponding to this g2x, there are two ways. Either you can extend this graph like this. So this another graph has also come, which is corresponding to your constraint g2. Okay, and there is another option. If you want to draw in one shot, you click, you select the whole data, click on chart, and then scatter with straight line and marker. choose this option. This way also you can draw the plots. Okay, so here we can see this sky blue line is corresponding to your G1 x, and then this another curve is corresponding to your G2 x. So this way we can plot. I have entered the values corresponding to other constant also, like for G3. What is the G3 constant? G3 is your x1 is less than greater than equal to x1 is always greater than your x1 means your diameter, mean diameter is always greater than equal to 2. So this will be a certain line passing through this point 2. So these 2 points I have not this constant G3 I have not drawn, because this is easily identifiable to a line parallel to y-axis passing through this point 2. Similarly, for G4, we will have another corresponding line at parallel to y-axis at point x equal to 14. Okay, so G3 and G4 I have not drawn. Then we have G5. For G5, for any value of G5 of any value of x1, your y-axis will be 0.2. Okay, so for corresponding to constant G5, you can again extend this curve. Just a second. Okay, so this way you can see G5 constant is also drawn. Then you can also include the constant G6. I have entered values in advance so that you are aware. So here, let me make it larger. So here we can see there are constant G1, G2, G3. G3 we already know a vertical line parallel to this y. So I have not drawn. We will take care of this vertical line. Then G4 is vertical line corresponding to x equal to 14. Okay. So then we have G5. So G5 is this line. Then G6 is your baseline. Okay. So this way we were able to draw the plots corresponding to all your constraints. I hope this process is clear to all of you. You have to simply click on your chart option. Okay, so we have plotted your corresponding your corresponding plots corresponding to your constraint. Okay, now what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to draw the curve corresponding to your objective function. Okay, so what is our objective function? Our objective function was fx equal to 9.82 x1 x2 plus 2 x1 equal to c. Okay, so let us take this example again. Fx equal to 9.82 x1 x2 plus 2 x1 equal to constant. So what we are doing, we are changing the value of this constant. We have arbitrarily chosen the value of constant C1 for the first plot. We have chosen as 50. So for any value of x1 corresponding to any value of your this objective function, we will plot these plots. Okay, so say fx equal to 50. So I have again I have also inserted formulae corresponding to your objective function. Okay, so here it is your constant value, that is the constant c, and I have try to calculate corresponding values of x2 corresponding to 2, 4, 6, 8, 14, 12, 12 and 14. Okay, so this way I have given formula corresponding for calculating the corresponding values from your just a second, your objective, sorry, using your your objective function. What we can see, just a second, okay, 9.82 x1 x2 plus 2x1 may be written as equal to c. If in terms of x2, sorry, in terms of x1, it may be written as c minus 2x1. We can put this 2x1 in the another side, and then this 9.82 x1 may be this whole value c minus 2x1 may be divided by this 9.82 x1. Okay, so this way we will get expression for the corresponding values of x2. Okay, so this formula I have used here also. Here you can see G2 means your this constant c minus 2x1 means 2 into a2 divide by 9.82 a2 again x1. Okay, so this column is corresponding to the plots or the values of objective function at the point x1 equal to 2, x4, 6, 8, 10, 14. So we have we can draw this objective function here corresponding to your value 50. So here you are able to see this another graph has come, which is corresponding to your objective function constant c equal to 50. I think you are able to see this dark blue line. Khushbu?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now what I will do, I will change the value of this constant, and you will be able to see the shifting of your this objective function. You focus on this blue line, dark blue line, and you will see the, suppose I put 60. Okay, so you can see this this curve is shifting corresponding to the constant value c as soon as we are changing this value c. Suppose I put 75. So again, this curve is shifted. Suppose I put 50, and this came to previous position. Then I put 40. So this again, this came certain downward position. Then from now we should come to the our example. Okay. So here we can see in during example what we did. We plotted curve for corresponding to corresponding value of constant c equal to 50. Okay, so 50 we could see we are not able to locate the optimum point, because it's this optimum point, at this optimum point there should be no free point available to any one side of your this objective function. Okay, so if we are considering this this objective function, there should be no free point available to this side of your objective function. Okay, so now let us try for next value, which is 40. Okay, so when we are plotting for 40, we can see again there are 3 points in this area. Okay, so what we have to do, we will move to the next value, that is 31.58, which was passing through the corner point C. Okay, so the objective function which is passing through this point C, this is corresponding to 31.58. Okay, so let me put here 31.58, and you can see the curve is exactly passing through this point C, which this point was represented as C in your original figure, which I have shown in PDF. Okay, so this curve now blue is passing through this point C. Okay, then what is the next value? It is 26.53. Okay, so let us put it as 26.53. Okay, so here now we can see from the constraint surface, we have no free point from the constraint area beyond this point. Okay, so this value may be taken as optimum value of your objective function. Okay, so this is how it was given in your on your graph plot. The value corresponding to the point B, which is x1 equal to 5.44 and x2 equal to 0.293 is your optimum value. Okay, so this way you can also use your Microsoft Excel in order to plot the objective functions on your constraint plots for the different values. Okay, I hope it is clear.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, if we won't be able to know that its answer is 26.53,
Yes.
sir,
Yes.
so
Yes. Right.
we'll have to go for many iterations, means infinite number of
Yes.
iterations.
Yes. Yes. In that case, na, what you have to do? Suppose we started from 50. Okay.
Yes,
Then
sir.
what I will do? I will go for 40. I can see clearly some free points are available in
Yes,
constraint
sir. Then go
area.
for 30.
Okay. Then 35 or maybe say 30. Then I will go for say 28. Okay, because there are less number of free points.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, but in in graph, on graph paper, it will be quite difficult to draw curve each time. If you are doing on a graph paper, it is quite difficult. But
Yes, sir.
using these computer techniques, you can easily draw. Okay, as soon as you enter any value, suppose there is 27, you can see
Yes,
there
sir.
are
We are reaching nearer.
so this way we can after that we can try 26. Okay, so we can see that we are slightly away from the constraint area, so we can we came to know that the value will lie between 26 and 27. Okay, then we can change values in fractions, suppose 0.8. Okay, so still there are few constraint points. We can see this portion, white portion. Let me make it larger. So this, actually I wanted to demonstrate this Excel. It is not as per required as per the lecture, but there are the techniques which are available, ready-made techniques available, which can reduce your manual work when you are going for actual optimization. Okay, so these kind of facility you may not get during examination, but whenever you are working on a real problem, you may be able to do the things quickly if you are aware about these tools. Okay, so for this value of 26.8, there are some free points. Then you can go for 27. So this way you can do multiple iterations. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So using these techniques, your Microsoft Excel is very advanced. You should be aware how to use how to draw plots, how to use equations. Because I simply put this equation corresponding to the value of x2. What will be the expression? I have put this formula here, and it is getting calculated. I have just scrolled this for remaining values, and I have got the objective function. Okay, sorry, corresponding values of x2 for your objective function. Okay, so this way you will be able to draw the plots whenever you want to draw the plots quickly. Okay, so I hope this is clear that how you can use your Microsoft Excel for creating or plotting the different curves in a very small time. Because on plotting on graph paper, it will take a lot of time. Then manually you have to join each point every time. Okay. Then for any new objective function, you have to erase the old. Otherwise, you will not be able to distinguish between two objective functions if these are too closer. Okay, so this way I hope you are able to understand that how we can use this graphical method of optimization in the constraint problems. Okay, so in your whole optimization subject, in this subject, what you have to do, the main thing is the mathematical expression of your problem or the function which you want to maximize or minimize, or okay, so or you want to get the optimum values. So here this was your initial problem, which was converted into your mathematical expression. We were knowing objective function, we were knowing desired variables, and we were knowing the constraint related to this problem. So for any problem optimization, what you have to do, you might be you will have certain objective function, then you will have certain constraint, and then you will have certain design variable. Okay, these three things will be very important if you want to solve, if you want to get the optimize certain objective function using your engineering optimization techniques. Okay, so I hope this after this revision, it is more clear that you will be able to define constraint corresponding to any engineering problem of related to optimization. You will be able to identify the objective function, whether it is minimization or maximization. Okay, so from today onward, we will try, or maybe tomorrow also I will take one more example. Maybe today also, if I get time, I will take one more example in order to demonstrate the different types of your optimization problem. Okay, so if there is no doubt on the discussion till now, then I can move forward. Khushbu or any other student? Okay, so let us now move to the next related topic, that is the classification of problems in engineering optimization. Okay, so because if we are able to identify what kind of problems we are having, we will be able to apply the corresponding optimization technique. Okay, so from the discussion till now, we are able to see that there may be a classification based on the constraint, if the process is constrained or the process is unconstrained. Okay, so there are number of things based on which your optimization problems may be classified. These may be based on constraint, based on nature of design variable, based on physical structure of problem, based on nature of equation involved, based on deterministic nature of variables, based on permissible values of design variable, based on separability of function, and based on number of objective function. Okay, so today I will try to cover not cover exactly, because first I will introduce these classification, then I will take one or two problem for each classification. Okay, so let us come to the simplest classification, that is based on the existence of constraint. Okay, so this topic I already introduced during your first, perhaps the second class, that the objective these your engineering problems, optimization problem may be classified in two types. Some may be constraint and another may be unconstrained. Okay, so if there are some constraints, there are limitations subjected to certain limitation. Like in the previous example we took, there was limitation that your mean diameter should not be less than equal to 2 to your mean diameter should vary between 2 to 14. And similarly, there was another constraint that your tube thickness should vary between 0.2 to 0.8 centimeter. Okay, so if there are any constraint in any problem, then this problem may be called as constraint problem. Suppose there may also be problems where we are not having any such kind of constraint. Okay, so in the previous example, if we simply state that there is no constraint, then these problem may be called as unconstrained optimization problem. Okay, so I don't think any further elaboration is needed on this classification. Then we have next type of classification, which is based on the nature of design variable. Okay, so based on the nature, what does it mean? So let us see the first set or the first category. In this first category, your design parameter are having certain constant value, or okay, so like see this particular example. Here we can see, suppose we have applied certain load on this cantilever beam, which is having width b and a height d and length l. Okay, so here what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to minimize the weight of this bar subjected to limitation of certain maximum deflection. Okay, so we are minimizing this weight of this cantilever beam. So the weight of this cantilever beam may be given as rho multiplied by BDL. Okay, so what is our objective function? Our objective function is to minimize rho L B D. Subjected to what constraint? We are having constraint the deflection at tip should be less than equal to certain maximum value of your beam tip deflection. Okay, so this deflection should be less than to certain predefined value of your deflection. And obviously this b should be greater than equal to 0 and d should be greater than equal to 0. Okay, so in this type of constraint problem, we can see b and d are independent of your l. Okay, so the distance from this point, your fixed point, this b is constant throughout your cross section. Okay, even your d is constant throughout the whole cross section. Okay, so we can say that b, d and l are independently constant values throughout the for this bar, this cantilever. Okay, so this is a first kind of problem where the design variable are independent of each other. They are not dependent on each other. Okay, so what does it mean that these are independent? So let me take the another category. For example, this is the second category. So we are having again the cantilever beam, but what is different from the previous example? Here this width B is varying corresponding to the distance from your fixed point. This is your fixed point. So this is your distance from the fixed point, that is T. So T will vary from 0 to L. Your T will vary from 0 to L. Here we can see. So and your D and B are dependent on the distance from your fixed point. Okay, so these are actually function of T. So here what we previously we gave the design vectors as B and D, but here what will be the design vector? Xt will be B, which is function of T, and D again, which is function of T. So in this case, what we have to do for minimizing the weight of your this cantilever beam, particular cantilever beam, which is having varying width and height, what we have to do, we have to how we will calculate the weight? Integration of 0 to L rho, since rho is constant, so it has been taken beyond this integration. Okay, so B D into dt. Okay, so integration of 0 to L B which is function of T, again D which is function of T, and then this small thickness, that is dt. Okay, so we have to integrate the small elemental strip which we have taken on this your cantilever beam. Okay, so this way in this second type of classification, what we can see, your design vectors are not independent, they are dependent on certain another parameter, which is your length, distance of or the length of distance from your fixed point. Okay, so this cross section B and D are varying based on your distance T, which is from the fixed point. Okay, so here in this problem also, what is the objective function? Objective function is minimization of fxt, that is the weight of your cantilever beam, subjected to certain constraint. The constraint are deflection of tip, which is corresponding, which is also function of xt, because these are function of t. Okay, so which this should be less than equal to certain predefined value of delta max, where your t will vary from 0 to L. Similarly, your this width of your cantilever beam at any point should be greater than equal to 0. Similarly, this height dt should be greater than equal to 0. In all cases, the value of t is between 0 to L. Okay, so here the design variable are function of length parameter. So this type of problem may be called as maybe called as dynamic optimization problem. Okay, so the previous one, the first category was static optimization, or parametric or static optimization problem, and the second category is trajectory or dynamic optimization problem. Okay, so these types of problem you will see while solving the your real life problem. Okay, so now let us come to the next category of classification, that is classification based on the physical structure of your problem. So what does it mean, classification based on the physical structure? These are again of two types: optimal control problem and non-optimal control problem. Okay, so in optimal control problem, it is a mathematical programming problems involving a number of stages, where each stage evolve from the preceding stage in a prescribed manner. Okay, so what does it mean? That there are stages in a problem, and in these stages each stage is dependent on the preceding stage, that is the previous stage. Okay, by certain mathematical expression. Okay, so in that way what we have to do, we have to calculate the a certain objective function at one stage, then only we will be able to calculate the objective function for the value of objective function for the next stage. Okay, so since this is the value of objective function or the state variable at one stage is dependent on the previous stage, we have to calculate the values of objective function stage wise, for let us say for from starting to first stage, second stage, third stage, fourth stage. This way this kind of problem, these are called optimal control problems. Okay, so under this it is usually described by two types of variables: the control or the design and the state variable. The control variables define the system and govern the evaluation of the system from one point to the next. And the state variable describe the behavior or status of the system in any state. The problem is to find a set of control or design variable such that total objective function over all the states is minimized, subjected to a set of constraints on the control or state variable. Okay, so in optimal control problem, the constraint or the objective function is dependent on the preceding stage. Okay, if there is another the remaining type of problem in which the objective function is or the constraint or the design variable are not dependent on the preceding state, these problems may be called as non-optimal control problems. Okay, so since we have 2-3 minutes, so what I will show you, I will show one one example of your constraint problem. Okay, and maybe we will try to formulate mathematically this example in the next class. Okay, so I will read out this example. A rocket is designed to travel a distance of 12 seconds in a vertically upward direction. Okay, the thrust of rocket can be changed only at the discrete point located at distances of 0 second, 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, and 4 second, 5 second, 6 second, up to 12 second. Okay, so the thrust of rocket is changing at each second of your discrete point. If the maximum thrust that can be developed at point I, either in positive or negative direction, is restricted to a value of Fi, formulate the problem of minimizing the total time of travel under the following assumptions. The rocket travels against the gravitational force. The mass of rocket reduces in proportion to the distance traveled. The air resistance is proportional to the velocity of your rocket. Okay, so in this type of problem, what we can see, you cannot calculate the value of you will not be able to get the value of thrust directly at any point which is in between. What you have to do? You have to calculate the initially thrust at 0 second, then you have to calculate thrust at 1 second. You cannot directly jump to the value of thrust at 3 second, 3 second, 10 second, or 12 second. Okay. So in this type of problem, what we are seeing, that you have to calculate the value of thrust starting from your initial point, so that you can calculate the value of thrust at the next point, that is for 1 second, is 2 second, 3 second. Okay. So since these values are varying from 0 second to 12 second, so how many discrete point will be there? There will be since 0 is also included, that is starting discrete point is also included, so there will be total 13 discrete points locations for this your particular problem. Okay. So here in this figure you can see we have 0, 1, 2. So there are 13 discrete points or control points from the starting point. Okay. So we will do the detailing about this problem, as well as the explanation about the other classification and an example corresponding to the other classification of these optimization problem in the next class. I will stop here and give